Hey y'all. Today's objective is simple interest. And these are just a few notes and some examples about simple interest. Simple interest is the money that you earn on the principal amount. This is amount. Money that you earn on the principal amount. Usually you earn interest, like if you put money in a savings account or if you borrow money from the bank, you have to pay interest back. So it's money that you get over time. And here's the formula. Make sure you get this formula down. I equals PRT, also known as I party. That's what you'll hear. I'll say I party. I equals PRT. So I'll explain this formula, and then we'll do some examples. I stands for interest. You can't get out of the way. I stands for interest, and so that's money. P is called principal, and that's money also. The difference between interest and principal. Principal is like the money that you start with, the money you deposit, or if you go to the bank and you take out a loan, that is your principal amount, the money that you start with. The interest is the money that you earn on the principal amount. You have an interest rate, which is a percent, and then you have time, which has to be in years. So make sure you know that time has to be in years. All right, example 1. Pause it, copy this down, and then we'll go over it. How much interest, so we're looking for the I, how much interest will earn on $600 deposited at 7% simple interest for 2 years, and then at 10 years. So this is a two-part question. We start with our formula, I party, and then you just put your numbers in. Uh-oh, I dropped my marker. You just put your numbers into the formula. So we're looking for interest. The principal amount, how much did I start with? I started with $600. And I'm multiplying, because this is P times R times T. So I'm multiplying 7%. And time is 2 years. So you take your calculator, make sure you have your calculator, and you're going to type in 600 times 7% times 2 years. Now make sure you type in this percent sign. Make sure you type in the percent sign. And we come out with $84 of interest in 2 years. Now our question says 2 years and 10 years. So we need to do it again. We start with the formula, I party. We're going to put our values in. The 600 stays the same, 7%, but instead of 2 years, we're going to put 10 years. And then we multiply 600 times 7% times 10 years, and that gives us $420 in interest. $420 in interest after leaving it in for 10 years. All right, let's go to another example. All right, example 2. Pause it, write it down, and then press play, and we'll go over it. I keep dropping my markers. All right. What is the ending balance? So notice I'm asking for ending balance. If you have problems that ask for ending balance, that means your total of your interest plus your principal. The total of your interest plus your principal. Hang on, I got a text. Hold on, I'm sorry. Okay, so I just didn't want it to keep beeping. What is the ending balance for an account with $2,450 starting, so that's your P, 3%, that's your R, for 6 years, that's your T. So we have our P, our R, our T. We type it into our formula, 2455 times 3% times 6. Everybody type that in. 2455 times 3% times 6 years. And our interest is $441.90. That is our interest, but that does not answer our question. Our question is, what's the ending balance? And I told you it's the interest plus the principal. This amount of money is what we started with, and we earned interest. So what do we have total? What do we have all together? We have to add these two. 2455 plus our interest. So write that down in your notes. Add those together. And our ending balance altogether, interest plus principal, is $2,896.90. That is your ending balance. So if you have a question later on about ending balance, come back and look at this example. All right, example 3. Write it down. Matthew invests $5,000 at 9% simple interest rate. How much interest will he earn? So we're looking for interest in 8 months. So we have our principal, we have our rate, and we have our time. Does anybody see anything different about our time? Something like a little light bulb should go off. 8 months. 8 months. Is that even a year? No, so we're going to have to do something different with that, and I'll show you. We're looking for interest. Our principal is $5,000. Our interest rate is 9%. And our time. If you go back and look at the very first slide, the time has to be in years. So my question to you is, how do we write 8 months in years? Is 8 months even 1 year? No, so we can't just put 8 because that would be 8 years. So we need to make a fraction. It's very simple. How many months are in a year? Everybody should say 12. There are 12 months in a year, so 8 months would be 8 out of 12. It's okay, you can type in a fraction, 8/12. And because you have your calculator, we don't have to worry about simplifying, we just type in 8/12. So you plug that in, 5,000 times 9%, don't forget your percent sign, and 8/12. 5,000, I don't know if you can see it, 5,000 times 9% times 8/12. And our interest is $300. $300. Now, I didn't ask for ending balance, but what would your ending balance be? The interest is $300. You started with $5,000, so your ending balance would be $5,300 because you would add those together. All right, example 4. Pause it, copy it down. All right, you deposit $2,500 in an account that earns 4% simple interest. So we have our P, we have our R. How long will it take to earn $500 in interest? Here's our I. This one is a little different, so make sure you pay close attention. You have a P, you have an R, you have an I. We are looking for how long. So we put all of our numbers in. I is 500. Principal is 2,500. 4% times T. We're looking for the time. Now this one is not as simple as just multiply it together. We have to do 2 steps. The first step is you want to multiply. Underline that and multiply 2,500 times 4%. That is the first thing you do. And we get, did y'all get 100? Okay, 100. So 500 equals 100T, because that simplified to 100. Now, hopefully you remember that I need to undo 100T So I'm going to divide both sides by 100. Everybody write that down. Divide both sides by 100, and I'm coming up here. And I get t equals 500 divided by 100 is going to be 5. So t equals 5 years. T equals 5 years. So just let me review. We plugged in all of our numbers. We multiplied right here. And then we divided. We multiplied and then we had to divide to find the time. So if you have a question that's asking you for how long, then come back and look at example 4. All right, pause. All right, example 5. You borrowed $10,000 for a car. So you're going to go to the bank and borrow $10,000 for a car. After 12 years, whoops, let me underline, 10,000, 12 years, you have paid $16,000 total back for the car. So if you borrowed $10,000 and you paid $16,000, that means you paid $6,000 extra more than you borrowed. What was your interest rate? So you borrowed 10, that's your principal. You have your time, and you're looking for your rate. Now, before we can go, we have to figure out what our interest is. Did we pay $16,000 in interest? No, we borrowed 10, and we paid 16 total. So the way you find your interest is you have to subtract 16,000 minus 10,000, and that would be 6,000 would be your interest. So I want to make sure everybody understands that. To find your interest, you have to find that extra that you paid. You borrowed $10,000, but you paid back $16,000 total. See, it says total, not interest. You have to subtract those two to find your interest. Now I can plug in all my numbers. My interest is $6,000. My principal is $10,000. I'm looking for my rate, and I know my time is 12 years. So again, it's not as easy as multiplying. You have to multiply these two. 10,000 and 12. So type in 10,000 times 12. And that gives you 120,000 R. So notice I multiplied these together. And to find my interest rate, I'm going to divide by 120,000. So we're going to type in 6,000 divided by 120,000. Make sure you're doing this with me. And it comes out to be 0.05. And that is a decimal. So we need to convert that to a percentage. 0.05. And the way to convert that to a percent is we move the decimal over 2 places. So it's kind of like cents. 0.05, how many cents is that? Out of $1, that is 5 cents, so that would be 5%. So I know that was a lot. Let me review. We found our interest by subtracting. And then we multiplied P and T because we knew P and T, and we got 120,000. Then we had to divide each side to find R. R was 0.05 as a decimal, but we want a percent, so we convert 0.05 to 5%. And now, if you have any questions, you look back at your notes, or you watch the video again, and we will practice this later, and I'll see you tomorrow.